Hello guys, welcome to the another video. I would like if you enjoy coding tutorials and you want to level up your Python skills guys, you are in the right place. So consider subscribing my channel and hit the bell icon so you can never miss any update. So let's dive deep into today's content guys. Thank you.
Decorators in Python, and let me just comment this out first. Decorators in Python are very useful, okay, are very useful. So decorators basically means that it allows us to wrap a function in order to extend its behavior of a wrapped function. Clear guys? This is a definition. So decorators allows us to wrap a function extend in order to extend its behavior of a wrapped function. So you would learn what exactly this definition means very clearly. So before I begin, so this is one of the interesting facts which you need to know about the decorator. That is, Python has an interesting features called decorators. Okay, so decorators basically what it does is it adds the functionality to an existing code. So this is also called as a meta programming. So this is nothing but an objective and also an interview question like called directly what is a meta programming. So you nothing but the decorators. This is also called as meta programming. So this would be for your notes. So because a part of a program tries to modify another part of the program at the compile time. Okay, so in order to understand about the decorators, we must first know few basic things in Python. So that particular basic things I would be showing you one by one. Okay, this is not required. So let me just open a definition. So how do you define a function with a keyword called def? And here you would call as let us say you would say as um, welcome. Okay, again I'm just using welcome, so do not mind. So here I'm passing a parameter called msg, nothing but a message. Okay, in this particular message I would like to pass anything so that I would be able to print that particular message. Okay, so when I just calling the function, so that particular message is nothing but you can say, let us say hello world, like that, or you can just say hello, hi, whatever it could be. So the moment when you execute this code with a shortcut key, so you would be able to get the hello over here. Why this has been happened? You can also use a parameter called x here, you can also x here, but still the output remains the same. Okay guys, so what did I do here? I have just passed the particular parameter and I've did the another way to write. What is another way to write without parameters, Javed? Just we will just do empty parameters, and here I would be writing it as hello, and here I would be removing this particular parameter since there is no parameter. I'm just calling the welcome. I'll still get the output as hello. Any confusion in this? Any confusion in this? Awesome. So we have in the previous classes of the functions which we have learned about the addition, subtraction, and all this particular stuff. So here, like since it's completely a decorators what we are learning, and I hope like it would be easy for you to understand what I'm trying to do here. So here, let us say I'll be defining something called as name. In this particular name, I'm not passing anything, and I'm just printing here as here as let's say here as you know Julie, let's say. And when I call the name, what happens, Javed? When I call the name, automatically the Julie will be printed, right? So the hello is from the previous particular program. So now I need to figure out a particular way where like I should get a message such as hello Julie. So how would we do that? Okay, so for that, what are the steps do I need to carry, and what are the methods which I need to use? So that's what we would be learning on the decorators. Okay, so and what if I just write something called as uh, here, rather than writing welcome, so let me just pass something called as message. Okay, here also I would be passing something called as message. So in this particular welcome I would be writing something called as hello. Okay, and I would be executing it, so you're gonna find an output as hello. Now what if I say something called as x is equal to something called as welcome. Okay, now I would not call the welcome, I would just make sure I would just call out the name of the function inside the parameter called x. And when I say x of, let us say hello, let us say Julie, I would be typing over here. And if I execute this, I would be getting something called as hello Julie. How does this happen? Just a second. So line number 16, you are making x is equal to welcome, and that welcome is the function training. So I'm just commenting this out. Now what would I do is, now I would write something called as define name, and in this particular name, I'm not passing any particular parameters. I would just like to print a name called Julie over here again. I would just like to print a name called Julie over here. So now, when I just get it, now I should be able, when I call the name, however, only Julie will be printed. But I need, like whatever the name which I would be passing, I should get the, hello word or hi word to my functionality. So we would use a decorator called @ and we would type something called as welcome on the top of it and we'll execute it. So we would get the name of the function here. So let us say this particular example, like here, I would be just commenting it out so that it would be easy for you to understand. So now what am I doing is I'll execute it if I find any execution error here. So I have found no execution error. So for example, let me just define something called as, again, a greeting properly. Okay, in this particular greeting, I would like to write something called as a function. Okay, so for you to understand, so here I'm calling a function. So basically think like I am creating a function inside a particular greeting as a name function. Here I'm writing like this. Okay, so now when I'm creating this particular function, I needed to call this particular function inside this particular function, so that that particular greeting will be printed. And the name of the greeting I would like to mention, print, uh, you are welcome, to the session, like this properly. Okay, you are welcome to the session. Now here I'm calling the function inside this particular greeting automatically, or either you can go ahead and return the particular function. So let's call the function. Now see, like if you are able to get it. So here I'm calling the function inside the greeting. Okay, to have a decorator. The function name is greeting itself. Yeah, the name of the name of the functions, what we are doing is the name of the function is greeting. Like inside this, I'm creating one more particular function, okay, where I am calling that particular function, this particular function here, like directly inside the greeting. For example, let's see. Okay, so now here I am defining something called as participant. Okay, participant, like this. So this is nothing but an empty I'm not passing any particular parameter. So in this particular participant, I would like to write print name. So this particular name, I would like to mention something called as Thomas. Okay, so for example, something called as Thomas. Now when I call the participant, as you know that when I execute this, only Thomas will be printed. So I needed to get something called as you are welcome to the session Thomas. So to add a functionality, we would use something called as @ and we would write the name of the function greeting and we would execute it. We would still get an error. Why we are getting an error? Because see, we are getting an error getting an error because, see, you can see here, you can just read it, because I am calling this particular function inside this. What if I go ahead and if I just return the function here like this, okay, and execute this, you would get properly like you are welcome to the session Thomas. Now you understood why did I use the return. So basically I'm trying to return this particular function over here. Okay, so return basically adds the add the functionality. So you can just, yes, you can just go back to the definition once again. So as I mentioned that the decorators adds the functionality to the existing code. What is the existing code over here? This is the existing code, and it is adding the functionality that it is welcoming everything. So basically, if you have a decorator, what you could do, once we jump into the file and handling, of like in the files and handling, if you create one particular decorator, that particular decorator will open the particular file mode in the right mode or something. So basically it adds the functionality, so you can create a lot of magic accordingly. So you would learn more in depth detailedly when we jump into the advanced particular Python. So just know that it is basically adding the functionality. So what is a decorator, guys? Decorator in Pythons are very useful. So it usually allows us to wrap a function in order to extend the behavior of a wrapped function. Okay, guys, any doubts over here? Let's say I would be writing something called as define increment. Okay, inc is nothing but increment, guys. So in the increment I would be passing a parameter called x, and I would be something writing as x plus 1. So 1 would be incrementing it. Again, in a similar way, I would be writing something called as dec with an x parameter, and I would be returning to it like this, x minus 1. Clear? Now this is nothing but what we are trying to achieve is, let me just define something called as operate, and in this I am passing something called as func, just nothing but a function, guys, so do not get confused. So in this particular func, so what I am going to define is, I am taking a particular parameter called let us say s is equal to func of what, beautiful way. So let me just take this particular program and comment this out, and I would write something called as again for you guys to understand what I'm trying to achieve. So now here what I'm doing is, I'm defining something called as increment properly. I'm just typing over here. In this increment I would be typing a variable called a. Okay, increment variable called a. In this particular variable I would be writing a plus 1. Okay, so basically what exactly happens, whatever the parameters which you would be passing, it would increment with the number 1. Cool, understood? Okay, so now here directly, without adding one more particular space, since you already are masters, here I am writing something called as decrement. Okay, and I am writing something called as a again, and I am writing print statement over here, a minus 1. Okay, okay, now in this particular a minus 1, after writing it, I needed to write something called as operand to go ahead and do this particular operation, right? So I would write something called as define operation. In this particular operation I would like to write my own function, or else I can write something called as my function, like my own particular function, whatever it is, and I'm passing. Tell me. This is a parameter. You can consider this is as a parameter. Let's say for a moment you can consider this as a parameter. Now here I'm again passing the parameter a. Why? Because in the increment and decrement I have passed a as parameter. Okay. Now here what I'm trying to do is, I am writing something called as result. So store that particular result. In my result I would write my function of a. So basically this particular parameter acts as my function now, and it is taking this particular parameter. So what is happening is, here I am writing something called as print result. Simple, print result. I'm not writing anything. Now when I am calling operation, since that operation function has two parameters, that is my function and a. Clear? So that's why here what I am writing it as increment. Okay, here I am writing increment comma, let's say I would increment the value with number 5. Okay, now again I'll call now if I execute this, you can see this. If I execute this, you would be seeing it will be printed 6. Now similarly I would be, do not get confused, ma. Just give me 1 minute. So let me just write something called as decrement. In this particular decrement I would writing something called as let us say it's already 3, so it should give me an output as 2. If I execute this, I would get 6 and I would get none. Okay, you understanding?
So I understood it, but the line line number 47. So line number 46 we define function called.
Hello guys, I think you literally liked it. That's it for today tutorial. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe my channel for more coding insights and tutorials. Hit the bell icon below to stay notified. Thanks for watching and happy coding.